everyone, welcome to my show. Be sure to hit like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch for all my exclusive content. Hello again, Star Wars players. My name is Chris Gogolin, Star Wars CCG Hall of Famer, and I'm doing a couple of Retro League games for you here on YouTube today. These were links that were recently submitted from the Retro League event. Now, the current format of this event is Premiere through Cloud City modified. And as someone who was actually alive and playing the game in 1997 when Cloud City was released, there's a couple interesting changes with this format that I do want to point out first before we get into the actual details. So hang on, let me pull up this screenshot. So these are the cards that are banned in this format. Numbers 3,720 to 1 and Never Tell Me the Odds. Those were non-interactive and abusive strategies, so good, we got rid of that. Anger, Fear, Aggression, the other insert card, also banned. And Asteroid Sanctuary, non-interactive strategy at all. Clouds, non-interactive, force-drain bonuses. Dagobah Cloud type decks are incredibly just obnoxious to play against. So these are good changes, all to kind of force things to be more interactive. And then some of the manipulation cards, like A Dangerous Time and Scanning Crew, were also banned from this format, as well as Defensive Fire, which also just randomly removes a card from your opponent's hand. We think of this more nowadays, the virtual version that lets you like shoot a weapon. They battle you, you quick shoot back at them, real fast and get an extra weapon shot. But the original version of this card can be pretty destructive. It's a used interrupt that just starts pulling cards out of their hands. So between that and Scanning Crew, you can do a pretty good job of just hand manipulation and getting rid of all their characters, and then they can never come, interact with you. So these are the changes that were made to the format, and I think they are some good changes. We have a pair of games here. We're going to start with this game first. Like I said, Cstyx here submitted both game reviews, so we're going to be viewing this from his side of the match. Game one here, Dark Side taking on Andytalaga. Curious to see what either of these players are playing. I have not watched these replays at all yet. Okay, so we got lots of locations. That's true. There's no objectives, no pullers, no defensive shields. We're probably going to see some Sense Alter wars, fairly common. And then maybe still get, and we see Monarch. I'm sure Monarch will be big with people trying to, draw to find their locations and their activation. Unlike some of the sealed formats too, we don't have the rule that lets you automatically just like pull a battleground once per game that sometimes you see in sealed deck formats. This does not have that. So Dark Side starts the fifth marker, Light Side starts Obi's Hut. And we're kind of just activate, draw, go, activate, draw, play a location or two, go. Like you don't have things that really search your deck. Andy got a good start though. Okay, he's got Obi to the hut already, pulling his matching lightsaber, and has enough force left to even move Obi over. And as we see here, looking at Styx's hand, he has no characters in hand right now. He is going to deploy Imperial Decree just to get a card out of his hand. And we do have Responsibility of Command also coming down. Now, this is certainly a strategy that could be pretty popular. And ironically enough, it's because of Light Side's War Room that Dark Side can even deploy this card. Use 2 force to deploy on any War Room at a Rebel base. For Dark Side to play it, they'd have to play their own Hoth War Room. Target a rebel, forfeit greater than 4, or their leader. Opponent may not initiate a battle or a force drain at same location as target. Boutini effect canceled and reached by target. So this is a good grab right off the bat, getting this for Styx. This will obviously stop this drain, which would be just a constant drain of 2 for several turns. It looks like he would get this through. And now that's going to shut that down. The other part of this, which is available in this format, is Much Anger in Him, is the other half of this. So Responsibility Command stops you from battling, and then Much Anger in Him says if you both have presence at a location and they didn't battle, they lose 4 force. So you just put a guy here, block him from battling you, and then just make them lose 4 a turn, and they move away, you chase them over and over again. Now again, some of these things are alterable because alter does cancel Utini effects, which is what this is. But I mean, we look at this right here, he's got 3 senses in his hand. Unlikely Andy's going to get the alter through. And instead we'll just see Andy activate and draw. And he did find an alter. And which of the 3 senses would you like to cancel that with? Okay, there's a control. And let's try it again. Sense number 2. And control number 2. 3rd time's the charm, though, right? He's got his own sense. Well, he's got an alter. And he's got a sense for that, too. So Andy's hand was just senses and controls. Okay. So at the end of the day, Andy loses 2 controls. Cstyx loses 3 senses and an alter. And now the responsibility of command also goes away. It's because of these high variance sense alter wars sometimes too. You would see people use things like the grappling hook tentacle to just grab one of them and make them unique. So that way you didn't have to get into these big, huge, I've got a sense and you sense my sense and you sense my sense, which is sensing my sense. And just to get away from all that, sometimes people will just make them unique. But it was very typical in these formats to see pretty much about 10 cards dedicated to sense alter control. All right, so Andy does get a drain of 2 through. There goes a control, as well as he hasn't come back yet, which is another fun card we don't see played all that often. I believe there's a shield now in open format that actually stops it. But during your control phase, target any character alone at one of your exterior planet sites, except a docking bay. Draw Destiny, target is missing if Destiny +3 is greater than ability. So during your own control phase, he could just play this target Obi, draw Destiny, as long as it's at least a 4 or higher. He would have 7 for a total. Obi would go missing. And that's a whole other fun mechanic that we can get into if and when we actually if that actually ends up happening in the game. But meanwhile, we're just kind of sitting here with very little activation, and we'll, draw, go, draw, go. I mean, dark side still has no cards. And he's going to play a Grimtosh Lost, make his opponent reveal his whole hand. See if you can get rid of any duplicates. Now, typically you would do that before you force drain, which is what Andy did. That way, if he does have any duplicates, you get rid of them first before he can then ditch them to the force drain. And we see that Cstyx just lost a Vader and a Turkin. All right, he got a little more activation. They both added an extra location or 2 this turn. There's Cstyx, one of the few dark side characters in this format who draws by himself. And we do finally see a Vader come down as well. Vader plus lightsaber plus circle is now complete. Could mean bye-bye Obi-Wan. But of course, you're going to have to get that circle through the sense alter war. And there's a neighboring leads. Going to try and move Obi to the 3rd marker. He will have to draw and pay for it. It's 3. It's going to cost. Okay. And now we're going to see Darkseid try and play Ellis Hellrot to move away. And he draws a 1. So the Ellis is successful, and Cstyx is going to run away or draw out another sense, which is also successful. going to get a Luke coming down. We're going to see he's going to try and steal the lightsaber with the weapon lab. Well, this is interesting because their sense number 5, lost count, went up to 5 at this point. Also successful. Wouldn't surprise me to see him play a Gift of the Mentor to add 2 Battle Destiny here. And just kind of steamroll right on over Zuckuss. No Gick in hand. Means he's going to be taking some serious overflow damage. As long as he actually hits him. There's a second Grimtosh. Okay. Oh, and he misses. Zuck is still in bad shape, though. He's only forfeit 3. Oh, he draws a 0 for Battle Destiny. So no Gift to the Mentor and a 0 for Battle Destiny. Sometimes that's the downside to play in 9, 10 locations. You want to draw them quick to get all your activation. But when you don't, things like that happen. Okay, so Luke has to die. Zuckuss has to die. Luke's only immune to less than 3, I think. Let's pause that for a second. Just so we can go back. Yeah, Luke is only immune to less than 3. All right, Andy's going to draw a bunch, probably reloading on some of those senses. We are going to see, I would assume we're going to see Vader come down for 6, get his lightsaber. Tried the circle is now complete. Oh. Nope. He's going to go over here instead. Interesting. So he's going to get drained for 3. Well, I mean, it's a drain plus 1 over here. So you're effectively trading 3 versus 3, but Lightside's ahead on Life Force at this point in the game. So if you're just going to be content to just trade cards with your opponent all day, they're going to win because they're already ahead. And now Boshek moves over. It's a rough spot. Obviously, lower activation, no characters in hand. He's lost several characters to Force Drains already. There's the Gift of the Mentor we were wondering about earlier. He's going to use that to get Anakin's lightsaber out. Okay. Andy's up to 16 cards. Now, this would be a situation where you would think you'd want to just play the Monarch. But given your opponent has 16 cards in hand, it's very likely he's just going to sense it. If you're dark side here, none of these options look very good. Although moving Vader over there does certainly give you a little bit more flexibility. Now Styx is finding some characters to work with here. So Obi's HUD is a drain plus 1. We would sometimes see very heavily in this format people playing Revolution. You would put Obi down with his lightsaber. You run like 4 or 5 Obis, 2 or 3 lightsabers, or multiple Gift of the Mentors or whatever. First turn, drop Obi with his lightsaber here, and then Revolution the site, and then you're basically threatening a drain of 4 right away. All right, well, let's catch up. What did we missed here? A drain for 3 at the defensive perimeter. He top decked Monarch number 2, another Vader, and a U3PO. Boshek drained over here, got rid of a Presence of the Force and a broken concentration. Lightside then Tunnel Vision to pick any card they wanted out of their 13 Force pile that they had to work with. And now Styx is going to force the Monarch through to cut him from down, yes, because he has more than 12 cards in his hand, to take him down to 8, put some of those cards back. And Andy opted, whether he had a sense or not, opted not to play it and just let his hand get reduced. Might have just been thankful, saying, I don't want half the stuff that's in here anyway, so thank you for doing that. Might have preferred if, he only had a sense or 2 just to save it and hope that he got to keep it. And also, now that your opponent just played Monarch and you just saw 1 go lost, is he really playing 3? Probably not, so you're safe to kind of draw back up. There's a drain at the hut, which is going to get controlled. Now here comes the fun. We call this a combo, right? There's Blizzard 1. With the matching pilot here comes General Veers. Not quite as good as what we see in the open format, but still pretty darn strong. And he's got Ozzel, who also deploys for free. Now, we're going to pause this real quick. So this particular Veers adds 3 to power. If you had guys outside, they get additional power bonus. On Blizzard 1, he adds 1 to armor, draws if unable to otherwise. So you're getting power 10 from that. Ozzel also gets you 2 more power to get you up to power 12. However, there's a little tidbit here in the bottom of Ozzel's text. Don't know if this will come into play, but this is the right scenario for it to happen. Lost if Vader on table and opponent reacts to same location as Ozzel. So if you're in the situation here and like, oh, Darkseid's going to battle, and we're going to do all this cool stuff, and we'll just have way more power than them, because I mean it's 12 to 3. You're in a pretty good spot here. And they're like, I'll react and do this. Ozzel dies. I mean, you still get 1 if unable to because of Veers on Blizzard 1. But that's just a fun little scenario that occasionally comes into play. A little bit of flavor text there. Let's see what Darkseid draws the 3. Let's see what Calfowl draws here. Ooh, just a 1. If he had drawn higher, Calfowl's text would kick in and make Darkseid's Battle Destiny 0. As it stands now, nothing happens. Both those guys die, and Andy will take 3 overflow, losing a Disarmed, a Sense, and another Obi's Lightsaber. And now we're going to see... Okay, so Andy played Clash of Sabers to go upload Uncontrollable Fury. Cstyx tried to sense it. Andy played an altar to cancel it. The Uncontrollable Fury is taken into hand. This is another form of light side direct damage. However, URB and cancels it, and there's the sense for that as well. I find that whoever usually wins the first sense war tends to win the rest of them for the rest of the game, because all of the player that lost that first duel, if you will, all of their cards are in the lost pile. And now they're going to get to just abuse whatever interrupts they want the rest of the game while leaning on their opponent. For those of you unfamiliar, Uncontrollable Fury. Deploy on Vader, he's power +2, but he no longer adds 1 to Battle Destiny, nor allows Tarkin to cancel a Battle Destiny. Most importantly, though, opponent loses 2 force at the end of each of their turns in which Vader did not battle, and you had a character of ability greater than 3 on table. And just as on table. So, I mean, you could have Yoda chilling over on Dagobah and slap Uncontrollable Fury out, and now basically Vader loses 2 every turn for the rest of the game. URB and does cancel it, which is why we've seen 2 of them already in Styx's deck, because, you know, we took away the inserts, which used to make this even more ridiculous, because they'd put the insert Anger for Your Aggression into your deck that said if you don't battle, you this turn, when it finally pops, you lose 4 force, and then lose 2 more for Uncontrollable Fury because Vader didn't battle, and you're like, wait a second, I didn't do anything this turn, how did I just lose 6 force? That's what a lot of light side strategies in this original era were. And this dark side, it almost made you want to just not put good characters on table. It's like, can I just play with like just vehicles and things with permanent pilot? I'll just play a bunch of TIE fighters, right? Just a bunch of ships with permanent pilots, so I don't have to deal with some of this shenanigans. But it does go both ways, as we saw with the responsibility of command and much anger in him too. So there's the drain of 4 at the hut. No more controls. It's going to go through. Goes a red leader, a Mos Eisley, and a moisture farm from the top, and a Jaren Webb. And we're just going to go straight to battle. It's 12 to 11. Darkseid draws a 0. Haven't seen this many 0s drawn from Battle Destiny in quite some time. The wondrous things of the open format is it kind of made that a little more consistent. getting those locations out of your deck. Some people love that about it. Some people wish it still worked more like this. And that's why we have these fun formats. So light side draws a 4. That's going to be enough to get rid of Ozzel. And now dark side is going to start desperately drawing for extra characters. Meanwhile, just seemingly finding more locations. Ooh, there's a Kessel. We haven't seen really Darkseid have any ships. Gold Leader and Gold One's going to show up there. That's going to be a pretty powerful drain. And here comes Luke as well. He's going to get a lightsaber that he doesn't necessarily... Oh, and Han's there too. Oof. This could be rough. There's the Gift of the Mentor to add to Battle Destiny. Does he have a Don't Get Cocky as well? Or Rug Hug? Nope, just the 2. Okay. This should be more than enough to clear off Veers. And gonna kind of push Andy back into the lead here. Styx had done a decent job catching up. This Veers and Blizzard 1 and the battle damage he did earlier, getting a drain or 2 through with Vader, kind of helped catch him up a little bit, but this should shift things back. 26 to 12. Veers and the Walker will cover 12 of the 14 battle damage. So I'll still have to lose 2 more cards. And he is just going to go ahead and concede the game because he's got, as you can see, no characters in hand. And he's going to be staring down a drain of 4 and 3 for the rest of the game. So he's just going to go ahead and scoop this one. And congratulations, Andy, on picking up the win. We actually saw a couple of decent battles, which is always a plus when you're working in this era, in this format, to actually see interaction and engagement. I think both players drew 0s for Destiny a couple of times there, so I don't know if that's just bad luck or maybe a little heavy-handed on deck construction. Because we've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 locations on table, plus they each had another 3 or 4 each that hit the loss pile. So let's move on to game number 2. This particular game, Styx is now light side. Looks like we got some Dagobah stuff going on here. Okay. And they'll be taking on JPC, who I don't know. Don't believe I've had the pleasure of playing against at any point in time. All right, so light side, going to start Dagobah. Going to use that to pull out a whole bunch of locations and activation. This is one of the first things we saw in the game that actually let you have access consistently to locations to sort of set up the whole Jedi training mechanic. But unfortunately, that also led to some more abusive strategies, as we were talking about. You would just, put Yoda and somebody on or whatever on Dagobah, do things with inserts and numbers, and play things like wars not make one great, so they have to spend force in order to force drain. So that way they're always constantly activating, and then maybe you hit them with things like those inserts. In this particular modified format, a lot of that's been toned down, but still having access to consistent force generation can be pretty good. JPC just taking it slow. Activate, drop a couple locations. He's got multiple 2-0s out now, as well as the 3rd marker out, which is one of the best locations in the game, even still today. It's a 2-1, it's a drain +1, and it adds 1 to each of your weapon destiny draws. That's a pretty awesome location to have for Darkseid. We'll see Styx. He's going to activate. He's going to pull another one of his Dagobah locations. They're 1-0s after the Yoda's Hut. They're all 1-0 locations. But, you can just start getting some just consistent activation while you kind of set up your hand with whatever else you want to do. You also have the ability, we see the Son of Skywalker. He's one of only 2 characters that can deploy to Dagobah, the other being Yoda. If you wanted to. Wow. All right, so hold there for a second. If you wanted to, This is again with the clouds and things used to come in. You would just put Luke on Dagobah and then set up guys in cloud sectors, and suddenly Luke is draining it for like 5 at a location your opponent can't deploy to. Again, why cloud sectors are banned in this format. But we saw Styx play Grimtosh Lost here, paid 4 force, revealed his opponent's hand. He found 2 Tarkans, which both got lost. He found 1, 2, 3 Senses, which are all lost. Darkside didn't have any characters on table, so they couldn't attempt to sense the Grimtosh. And as well as 2 Tramples that both also just went lost. So 7 cards just hit the lost pile from the Grimtosh there. I know right now, if there's any players watching this, there's a few players watching this who might be, ready to flip over the table because of how much they dislike, even to this day, Monarch and Grimtosh. But so JPC was able to keep a few things, and we do see the Darth Vader plus his lightsaber at the 3rd marker. It's a pretty solid spot to be. But we'll see what Styx has up his sleeve. He does have Obi. He does have a lightsaber. He could go try to contest that. Of course, the downside is, Circle is Now Complete is a commonly played card in this format, but he does have 3 senses and a control in hand to sort of back that up. Oh, he's just going to move away. Okay. He's not going to contest the drain with Vader. He's just instead going to move into the Wampa Cave. He'll play the control to cancel the drain of 3. He'll set up his own drain of 3. And now we see JPC trying to return the favor with the Monarch. Lightside is going to sense that, though. And they are successful. Now we're going to see Darkside attempt to Ellis Hellrot Vader over. He's going to have to pay 4 to do so. And here comes sense number 2. You got rid of 3 of your opponent's senses with that early Grimtosh, so now you can kind of just lean on him again. Like, if I remember correctly, the typical deck construction used to be around 10 card slots devoted to sense alter control. All right, so no locations for a light side to pull here. And we are going to see Son of Skywalker make an appearance. He's going to the guest quarters. Obi just going to run away? No, Obi's going to stay there. Obi's feeling brave. I thought we might see Obi move away and at least, just limit him to a drain of 1, but Obi's gonna stick it out. And now we're just gonna see some extra random Imperials come and make an appearance. There's an I Have You Now, potentially to add a Battle Destiny if it doesn't get sensed. The other thing we could see maybe is a Dark Jedi Presence. Double up the power of these other generic Imperials. But the I Have You Now does get canceled, so no additional Battle Destiny. Gonna take a swing at Veers. And Veers is going to be hit and forfeit 0. Vader's going to return fire. He's going to need a 4 or better with the second draw. Not going to get there. Well, he's still up 10 power. Do we have any other Battle Destiny adders or anything? Nope. Okay, so he's got a 4 for Battle Destiny because Premier Vader adds 1. Light side does draw a 4, so they're going to be down by 10. Obi covers 9, so really no overflow, just one card. And Nita's going to die. Actually, Nita has to go first. Your other non-hit characters here might not be forfeited. So you can forfeit the Veers because he was hit first if you wanted to. But then you kind of are forced into you have to lose Nita next. And JPC is going to move Vader back to the third marker, drop a couple cards, see what else he can set up here. While Son of Skywalker starts doing his drains of 2. He should have one more Dagobah location left, I think. Jungle, swamp, bog clearing. No, I think that's it, unless he's, because the training area was the other one, but I'm not sure if he's playing that one or not. Maybe put Savrip out. Yeah, there you go. Antelian Savrip is a fun card. We also don't see a whole lot in open format anymore. Just curious. You pay 3 to put it on the table. It's free if you have 3PO out. After losing any battle, character, starship, and vehicles in your hand can be lost to reduce the attrition and or battle damage by their forfeit values. So like in that last battle that he lost by 10, instead of losing Obi-Wan and a card, he could just be like, I'm going to lose Leia for 7 and 3 other cards, or Leia for 7 and Lando for 6. That covers the 13 battle damage, and then I get to keep my Obi-Wan on table. Very strong card in decks that you're trying to do interactive things with, especially if you are running multiple copies of these main characters. They can really soak up some extra forfeit. The caveat being that you have to lose the battle. And Vader is going to alter it by drawing yet another 0. Okay. There's one more 0. Oh, there's that uncontrollable fury that we saw in the last game. Shuffle up your opponent's reserve deck. Why not? Because you can. It's usually more of a late game strategy that we see when people are trying to maybe set up some good destinies that they might have tracked. Both players have over 30 cards left and they're activating 10, 11 force here. It's a little bit of a lower number. Dark drains for 3. We see a Son of Skywalker, a Tunnel Vision, and an Altar get lost. And now a Presence of the Force also gets added, making that a drain of 4 now. Now, we didn't see Cstyx try and alter that yet. He might be waiting, perhaps until he has more Sense Alter control stuff. Or a higher ability character to make sure he's successful. He does get the Tunnel Vision through. And now we're going to get another Grimtosh. That's going to go through. So he gets rid of the 2 URBians. We got extra lightsabers. There's 1 ship. There's 2 walkers. There's an extra location. He does have the circle, so Obi would have to be careful again. And Tarkin is also right there. So just the 1 ship. Not that light side has any ships of their own to do anything about it right now. No other characters except Tarkin, who doesn't do anything by himself. You could do Tarkin plus Blizzard 2. It's expensive. It would cost you 10, but it would give you the ability to draw Battle Destiny somewhere. But only at exterior locations. So if light side had the ability to get another interior site out or something, or put someone and then walk back over to the Wampa Cave, they know that the only person they have to chase them with is Vader. Because Tarkin's not going to come down and do anything by himself. Like if he puts Leia here and then moves over, unless he's got another, he doesn't have an Ellis Hellrod either. But he did see the Utah Guta, which is also important because he does have the Neighborin. So if he was thinking about using Neighborin, there's the Canceller that also any rebels transporting get captured. All right. Styx is going to slap the Uncontrollable Fury. We'll probably see Yoda hit the table. Go into the hut here for 5. And then he can alter the presence of the Force. Because you know your opponent doesn't have anything in hand to stop it. Because you got that Grimtosh through. Sometimes, just having that little bit of knowledge is incredibly powerful. Knowledge is power, especially in Star Wars CCG. All right. So now Darkside's going to be draining for 3. And honestly, probably not doing much else. And they're going to have to lose 2 to the Uncontrollable Fury. Yep, we'll go to draw. I'll just start scooping up some cards. Light side, in that case, Styx lost Chewbacca, a Tunnel Vision, and a Sense to that drain of 3. So, both players are about even-ish in Life Force. Wow, Styx, JPC going huge. Up to 19 cards in hand now. So he's got 10 more cards. Well, now he's got 8 more cards in hand. And his opponent has 10 more down. So light side's slightly ahead at this point. But dark side's draining for 3. Light side's draining for 2. But the Uncontrollable Fury is also doing 2 points of damage. So Styx is slightly ahead in this game in terms of remaining life force and the amount of damage being done each turn. So if you want to think about it from that point of view, as the light side player, do I need to do anything differently right now? The answer is no. I don't need to deploy anything, give my opponent any more opportunities to sort of interact with me. Because I know what they had, they couldn't really do much with, and ooh. Light side draws all the way to 20 cards in hand now. Yikes. We're going to lose 3 of them here. We're going to throw away the Neighbor and Leads, and then he's going to top deck 2 and get rid of the Control and the Kessel. That's always scary. When your opponent has 19 cards in hand and they start top decking, it's like, wow, they must want everything. Okay, I'm going to pause it here for a second because we just saw something really interesting happen. So he deployed Zuckuss, who's power 2, which gave light side the ability to play a card we don't get to see that often, called Noble Sacrifice. Opponent just deployed a character, place out of play from table one of your characters with the same power, even a captive. You may retrieve force from the lost pile equal to your sacrificed character's forfeit value. So he's noble sacrificing Yoda, who's also power 2, who has a forfeit value of 9. So if this noble sacrifice goes through, light side will retrieve 9 cards right now, which is huge. Dark side is going to try and sense this, but as we can see here, we've got an altar and 3 senses in hand, so it's reasonable to think that light side's going to get this through. He's going to try and sense the sense. There's the altar to cancel that. Well, here comes the sense, which comes 1 more altar. And there's 1 more sense. Okay, so that got through. That resolves. That resolves. Dark side loses the 2 altars. Now the light side sense goes through. And the dark side sense is lost. And now the noble sacrifice resolves, and light side gets to retrieve 9 cards, which is going to put them a mile ahead in this game. It's a big swing. Dark side lost 3 cards just for deploying a character, and light side retrieved 9. All right. Tarkin comes down 2. They do initiate battle. Styx does swing and hit Tarkin. making him forfeit 0. Luke's only immune to less than 4. Oh, he's going to play Warrior's Courage to add a Battle Destiny here, too. Okay. I'm sure he'll potentially smokescreen. He draws the Avenger, which Luke is immune to. So nothing's bad is going to happen for Lightside here. I would assume he's going to smokescreen at least a 5 with the first one. Yep. Take your chances with the second one. Might actually get a couple of overflow here because Zuckuss only covers 3. So basically, whatever this second draw is, it's a 4. So now Darkside loses their own battle that they initiated and has to lose 4 overflow. This was a bad turn for JPC. Things did not go his way at all. I mean, he had to try and do something. But between the noble sacrifice and everything else. Now we see the Visored Vision. He named Sense. There were no copies of Sense. 10 in there, but now I also gave you more information, right? Your opponent only has 15 cards left face down. 14 now. You know they don't have any senses left in their hand. They have no senses left in their used pile either. So you should feel a lot more comfortable about getting all of your interrupts and stuff through. And we are going to see Styx. He's going to neighbor Leads and move Son of Skywalker to the Wampa Cave to get a bigger drain. Wow, I guess the last card he picked up was a Sense. Gonna get canceled with the altar. If you ever read any old tournament reports or listen to us grumpy old men talking about the good old days and Sack Wars, that's what we're talking about. Sense Alter Control, SAC, Sack Wars. So Luke drains for 3. There goes a Blizzard one, a Monarch and the Uta Guta. There goes Leia to the guest quarters. Probably put Obi. He's just going to throw Lando down too. Okay. Leia going to move over. Yeah, Leia will move over. And Lightside's a mile ahead in this game. They're doing a reasonable amount of damage here. The URB and did go through earlier and cancel the Uncontrollable Fury, so that kind of helped things out a little bit, but after retrieving 9 cards, I mean, they've got 25 to 14, plus he's got 7 more in hand too, so it's a much bigger advantage. Darkside Vader's got this drain of 3 going through, and he'll move over to block Luke. But Luke can very easily, just by what we see in hand here, he can try the Sorry About the Mess. If that goes through, great. Pretty much game over at that point. Even if that doesn't go through, he can battle and he can play the Force is Strong with this one to add 2 Battle Destiny, then Smokescreen a 5 for one of them, which will guarantee Vader comes off the table. So even if they don't hit each other or anything like that, you're drawing 3 Destiny, and the first one was a 5, so you guarantee Vader's going away. Meanwhile, you keep just doing this consistent drain of 2 over here at the Carbonite Chamber. I would assume he's going to try the Sorry About the Mess first. Yep. I mean, Force Field does exist in this format, but since Vader's the only character I think that it can target, you don't have an Emperor or a Mara Jade or anything yet. So that's a 6, and that misses. Okay. Darkside throwing away a couple of cards. Check out the Destiny draws, kind of hit or miss. Yeah, Luke will just battle it up, try and add. Well, I'll take a swing first, I guess. Nope. Those were two of the lower Destiny cards left in there, so. Now, if Darkside hits and has the You Are Beaten to exclude, that could be a bit of a saving grace here, but I don't think starting with that one, not going to do it. Yep. Add to Battle Destiny. Play the smoke screen to guarantee a 5. Gonna wait and see first. Maybe you might just want a blind draw. Okay. Again, you don't have to do it for the first one. You can do it for the second or third. So he's got 7 already. He might as well just keep going because the Destiny of the deck is pretty good. He's just going to use a 5 instead. That'll get him to 12 for a total. And Vader's basically covering up to 15, so as long as they draw at least a 2 here, they're not taking any overflow back. They draw 4. Okay, so both people go away. But then we just kind of look at the board. Okay, Lightside's got a drain of 2, as well as 23 cards left down. Darkside has a drain of 0 and only 8 cards left down. And there we go. They picked up Kessel. They have the Falcon. They picked up a Tunnel Vision, so next turn he can just set up a Space Drain if he wants to. Okay. We've got Vader. We've got Ozzel. And we've got a battle. And there's that pesky 1 again. Lightside opts not to draw Battle Destiny. Interesting. I think we're going to see here is Leia get the lightsaber, or Luke come down and get the can Leia get that lightsaber? Just hypothetically speaking, right? We're going to see, yeah, Skywalker for ability greater than 3. So Leia could have gotten the lightsaber in either situation if he didn't have the Luke. What we're about to see here is someone's going to get a lightsaber, Vader's going to get Clash of Sabered, and then Ozzel's going to get overflowed pretty much to end the game. I mean, Gick is a thing, but again, without the pullers for it, those don't come around till a special edition where you get the masterful move to pull it. Darkside's not really playing a lot. I mean, you could just hope you draw it, but yeah, Ozzel's going to get hit and forfeit 0, most likely. And then you're looking at 5 overflow plus whatever you draw for Destiny. So this is what, a 5, and then is that the 1? Is that the Obi-Wan? 5 and a 3. Okay. This should probably be enough to finish the game off. Oh, he'll just smokescreen a 5. There you go. So then it's basically lose Ozzel and 10. And he's only got 14 cards left. And he's just going to top deck the remaining cards phase down, and Cstyx is going to pick up the win there. All right, well, that's going to do it for these retro modified Premier to Cloud City format games. Hope you enjoy watching them. Of course, leave any comments or questions you have down below. One of us will try and get back to you with the answers. There's always plenty more where this came from, ongoing retro leagues. There's a retro match play championship going on right now, as well as a up and coming open format match play championship that are going to be played live on GEMP. GEMP.StarWarsCCG.org is your way to play for free online, or check out one of our upcoming live events, maybe in your area soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around the galaxy, everybody.